In this video, we'll be covering how to do the Glory of the Delver achievement that arrives when the new expansion goes live. However, keep in mind, a lot of this won't be doable until Season 1 does go live. There's going to be a ton of things to cover, and at the end of it, we'll even get a mount. This is True Endgame. Welcome to the video. The first meta achievement we'll cover is the Delve Loremaster War Within, which requires us to complete each of the stories or quests with the Delves. For those who don't know, there's gonna be about 3 different variants of every Delve, and they change every day. Meaning every day we enter Delves, we'll get a different version of that Delve. Now it's up to you how you want to go about this. You can either do these while doing the other meta achievements or save these for last. But regardless, if you do these, the tier of the Delves does not matter. So we can breeze through this meta achievement doing the tier 1 Delves for every variant to get the achievement. In total, it'll take you up to 4 days to get them all, since we'll have to wait for that daily reset. Now as we move on, the majority of these upcoming meta achievements we'll have to do at Delves at tier 8, which is a bit difficult for even geared players and requires some thinking instead of just, running through the Delve. So for this next meta achievement, this is going to be War Within Delves tier 8, and to get this meta achievement, my suggestion would be to do the Spiral Weave, or to go back to the very first Delve we did a tutorial on, which is the Earthcrawl Mines over at Boss Crude Basin, since it's pretty quick and easy to complete. If you aren't at tier 8 yet, then you can just repeat these Delves to get you to that tier. The next meta achievement is going to be Sporesweeper, and this requires us to do a Fungarian Delve without being hit by those exploding spores on tier 8 or higher. And for those who don't know, the Sporesweepers are those neutral NPCs with the yellow health bars, and they are those spores floating around, usually near other mobs, and they become aggressive if you get too close. When that happens, they start chasing you while priming an explosion, and their HP turns red. And once their HP goes down to 0, they explode, dealing massive damage around them as well as knocking back everything near the blast radius. My general tip for this achievement is to actually use the Sporesweepers against the mobs that you're fighting, since they either knock them back quite far away or instantly kill them. But I do see why this is a bit of a gamble on whether or not it hits you instead. So it'll be up to you on how you go about this, but regardless, we'll want to use our range options to kill it safely from afar, or just pop our movement speed or abilities up when we do take one down to get away from the radius. The next meta achievement is going to be I Take Candle, and this requires us to complete a Kobold Delve without our candle or our air totem going out completely on tier 8 difficulty or higher. Now it's up to personal preference as to which Delve you'll do, but you'll just have to keep this one tip in mind as you go for an attempt. Drop it. Yeah, it may be a hassle to mouse over your buff bars and right click the candle or air totem buff, but how these things work is every time you move, their numbers go down. You'll start with around 100 for example, and every step you take lowers that number. And when it gets down to 0, your candle or your totem runs out, and therefore you're no longer able to qualify for the achievement. Now take note, there are checkpoints anyways that restore your totem or your candle's bar, so you don't have to worry too much about not having enough fuel to get to the end. Yes, one can argue that if you're a tank or you have really high sustain or good healing, sure, you don't have to drop the thing or the totem every time you fight or do an objective, but there's a lot of things in Delves that can significantly hurt you or even one-shot you, so I'd highly recommend going the extra mile to drop the candle or the totem every time you do an objective or clear a room. Actually, for those checkpoints that I mentioned in a boss fight, for example, if there's one nearby, instead of walking over to pick it up and refresh my fuel, I'll just drop the totem or the candle that I currently have to increase my area where I can work around it. This is one of those pro tips, and it's up to you if you want to do this, but I think it makes the whole challenge a bit easier. The next meta achievement on our list is going to be Just Keep Swimming, and this requires us to complete the Kobis Delve without our breath bars going down completely on tier 8 or higher. It's a relatively straightforward achievement, but the difficulty is keeping track of your breathing bar while clearing the Delve. As the best tip I'd give to those going for this meta achievement, you should fight either near one of these air bubbles or on top of them, and what these air bubbles do is they fully fill up your bar and give you about a 4-second buff in which your breathing bar doesn't go down at all. The next meta achievement is going to be Spider Senses, and requires us to complete a Nerubian Delve without spawning ambushers from the Nerubian webs or the cobwebs on the floor, or taking damage from the Nerubian eggs on tier 8 or above. The delve I'd highly recommend doing this on is going to be the Spiral Weave delve. The reason why this is the best I'd recommend is simply because of the grappling mechanic we're given in addition to the delve. A lot of the levels are ridden with cobwebs on the floor, and stepping on them will trigger an ambush which will disqualify us from the achievement. So we'll just have to use that grappling mechanic to traverse every cobweb on the floor. This will make the delve somewhat trivial in terms of navigating through the delve without stepping on the cobwebs. But my tip here is, despite having that grappling mechanic, we should take things slow and not speedrun the delve in case we accidentally step on a cobweb and have to do it all over again. The next meta achievement is going to be Daystormer, which requires us to complete an Order of Night delve without being spotted once by the artillery fire on tier 8 or higher. Personally speaking, classes that can go invisible are at an advantage here since they can forgo clearing the mobs along the way to the objective. What really makes this achievement easy for them is because they don't get spotted by the artillery fire whatsoever. Now, I'm not saying at all that it's not possible by other classes. We'll just have to be patient with how the purple rings move around and analyze how big they grow and how small they shrink. As for the delve suggestions, I'd go for the Skittering Breach since each area with those purple rings can be completely avoided if we just go through the outskirts of the areas, and thankfully the boss isn't that difficult at all to kill since its only lethal ability is this Void Wave, which is very telegraphed and easy to avoid just by going behind him or sidestepping it. Now in the boss area, there is one purple ring and it does rotate around clockwise, so while fighting the boss we'll just have to go clockwise as well ahead of it, or just go opposite of where it's currently at to avoid that ring. The next meta achievement is Leave No Treasure Unfound, and this requires us to get every sturdy chest from every delve, so that's going to be about 4 chests for all 12 delves in the War Within. Now as for a general tip, I'd suggest doing this achievement on tier 1 delves since we'll be exploring off the beaten path to find them, but it's up to you whether or not you'd like to hunt for these while doing the previous meta achievements in tandem. Do take note that some of the sturdy chests that we need to find are in different sequences or variants of the delve, so there's a chance you won't get all of the sturdy chests in the single delve for that day. Now we'll go over each location of the sturdy chest per delve. The first delve we'll start with is Earthcrawl Mines. Here's a map showcasing all of their locations, and I'll be showing the maps for every delve showcasing all the chests before I show you guys the in-game footage of where exactly the chests are. The first chest for the delve is going to be right by the entrance. We'll head to the left side and we'll find the chest behind this pillar. For the second one, we'll find it by the tracks just before we enter the next area. We'll head to the left and hugging the walls is going to be our next sturdy chest. Now as for the third one, it'll be in the large room with a bunch of mine carts. We'll head to the back end of the room where the stairs are, and it'll be inside this collapsed tunnel to the right. Now as for the fourth sturdy chest, we'll want to head upstairs and cross the tracks. It'll be on this wooden operating crane thing, so we'll just have to do a bit of platforming to get on it and loot the chest. Now as for the fifth and final last sturdy chest, it'll be in the boss room. As soon as we enter it, we'll just head to the right side and find it behind this minecart. The next delve is the Fungal Folly. Here's a map for all 5 of the sturdy chest locations before I go through each one individually. The first sturdy chest will be found towards the east corner of the delve instance, and we'll have to platform ourselves down there or just jump into the water. We'll see it right on this small island, somewhat covered and shaded by these 3 green giant mushrooms. As for the second one, we'll just go back up before going off to this ledge I'm showing right now, where there's another glowing purple mushroom. This one will launch us across the river, and from here we'll take another bouncy mushroom to catapult us upwards onto the top of this waterfall. We will see the chest along the ledge. The third sturdy chest is close by. We'll just want to jump off this waterfall and dive down to find the sturdy chest at the bottom of the river. As for the fourth sturdy chest, we'll head towards the west side of the area. Right before we go to the center part, we'll head left to this mini waterfall, and nearby will be a pathway heading up. We'll follow that using the blue mushrooms to jump up about 2 times, and the chest will be at the second platform. As for the fifth and final sturdy chest for this delve, this one is found back from that mini waterfall we passed by earlier. We'll want to jump down into the base of it, and we'll find the chest somewhat underwater. Moving on to Kriegval's Rest, here's a map for all 4 of the sturdy chest locations as usual with their coordinates. The first chest will be to the left side of this big room that we first enter. It'll be somewhat hidden by the stone pillar and difficult to see without our light, so I'd suggest bringing the candle with us. Now as we move into the second big room after this fire corridor, the chest will be on top of the scaffoldings in the back. It'll be tough to reach, but thankfully we don't need to parkour. We'll just have to stand directly underneath it, maybe even stand on top of this cart, jump, right click, and we'll get the credit for the achievement. The third chest will be in the third room, and we'll find it inside this tattered tent right beside the scaffoldings. Now as for the last sturdy chest, it'll be in the hallways just before the boss room. As soon as we exit the third room, we'll go down the flight of stairs and we should see a giant candle in this corner. We'll see the sturdy chest tucked into the corner right here. Moving into the next delve, here's a map of the Dread Pit with all of the locations on the map before we go over each one. Now, I did this delve in its Smashing Scarjun variant and found all 4 sturdy chests. Now, as soon as we enter the first big room where there's a ton of mobs, we'll just want to head forward until we go over to the cliffside. Behind these rocks will be the first sturdy chest. The next one is going to be hidden behind some foliage. So on this pathway we're taking, there's a sort of a corner on the left side before it drops into the chasm. Among the greenery is the sturdy chest. Now, just before the boss room, we'll find our third chest, and it'll be hidden behind the stone pillars on the right side just before it dips into the abyss. Now, for the fourth sturdy chest, after defeating the boss, we'll want to head to the opposite side of where the treasure room opens up. Hidden once more behind the rocks is the last sturdy chest near the ledge. Moving on to Waterworks, here's a map showcasing the sturdy chest locations marked, and for all variants of the Waterworks delve, you'll be able to find all of the chests. So as soon as the doors open, we'll go to the left side of the room, and by the furnace, we'll see our first sturdy chest on the right side. The second sturdy chest will be in the big room right after the initial starting place. We'll head to this giant wooden water wheel, and hidden by the water is going to be the chest. The third one will be found as soon as we enter the next hallway from the previous room where we found the second chest. We'll find it on the left side underneath the scaffolding. For the last sturdy chest, it'll be in the boss room. Before we fight him, we'll head to the left side of the room until we see these giant ore veins and this cart. Past that is a group of ground mounds, and basically hugging the wall is our last sturdy chest. Moving on to the sinkhole, here's a map of the delve area with the chest locations marked on the map. For this one, all variants worked for finding all of the chests. The first one will be found as soon as we jump down. Right before we talk to the NPC to start the delve, we'll want to swim down to the bottom of this pool, and we'll find the first sturdy chest down here. For the next one, it'll be behind these rocks just near the edge of the ledge of the chasm. As for the third chest, we'll find this just behind the restoration stone checkpoint. We'll go behind it, and right by the ledge for the chasm, we'll find the chest. The last sturdy chest will be found quite easily actually. After beating the boss, we'll head towards the end of it, and we'll find it hugging the purple spire walls. Now onto the Mycomancer Cavern. Here's the map of the area with all of the locations marked on the map, and take note, I did this run on the Great Scavenger Hunt variant and found all 4 sturdy chests. The first chest in the area is going to be on the third platform that we jump onto. Just before this narrow pathway diverges to the right, we'll keep heading forward and we'll find a chest surrounded by these red grass thingies. The next chest is actually quite close by, but we'll just have to swim down to it. Just below that narrow pathway from earlier is a drop down into the waters. Once we're there, we'll swim down and find a chest at the bottom of the river. The third chest is gonna be hidden behind these rocks on the left, which are somewhat hugging the wall, pretty straightforward. And the last sturdy chest is going to be on the last platform. While facing south, we'll walk near the edges of the platform we're on, and we'll see the chest on a rock near the water. Moving on to the Nightfall Sanctum. Here's a map as usual with coordinates and marks on it to show where the chests are located. I did this run on the Chiron's Assault variant and found all 4 sturdy chests. So to start it, we'll catapult ourselves across the zone and we'll land on this ship. Just downstairs is an open grounds area, and there will be a wooden platform up on top with a room in the back. We'll go inside the small room and find a chest on the left side among some junk. From here, we'll want to head back onto the ship from earlier, and the chest will be across to this unreachable platform towards northeast. So that will be when we're facing the giant waterfall, and we'll see the platform to the right side. Jumping onto it is relatively simple, and once we land, we'll want to go past this stone tower. Right after it, we'll see the chest. As for the next chest, we'll find it at the bottom of this lake underneath the prow side of the ship we were at just earlier. So from the platform we're on, we'll follow the river until we can dive down, and we'll find a chest at the bottom of the lake. For the last chest, or I guess it could be the first, it'll be on the leftmost catapult or ballista that we need to take to get across the area. Instead of clicking on that ballista, we'll just want to head as close as we can to the ledge, and we'll see the chest on top of this giant tree leaf looking thing. From experience, it was pretty difficult to do, so I'd suggest positioning yourself in front of the arrow of the ballista right on this brown part of the flooring, and we'll just run a little bit before jumping off. From doing this multiple times with no speed buffs or anything, I landed on the platform 3 times out of 5. Landing on the platform, you'll be within range of looting it anyway, so no need to move. Now onto the Skittering Breach. Here is a map for all of their locations, and for this delve, I found all of the sturdy chests during Renalash Beckon's variant. For the first sturdy chest, we'll want to head onto the first platform and go inside the very first structure or house on the left. Once inside, we'll be able to find a chest on the left side of the house inside of this room. Next up, we'll want to continue along the path until we're at this cavern part of the delve. We'll want to head inside the cavernous area and we'll find a chest hugging the wall on the right side. As for the third sturdy chest, just before we go up onto the last platform for the boss fight, we'll want to hug this house or structure on the left side and walk this narrow ledge in order to find the chest. Now as for the fourth and last sturdy chest, we'll be able to find it behind the treasure vault that opens up after we beat the final boss. So we'll take this pathway to the left and follow it until we reach the top. Here we'll find the fourth sturdy chest somewhat drowning in grass. Moving on to my favorite delve, the Spiral Weave. As usual, here's a map of the delve with all locations of the sturdy chest mark. For this delve, you'll need the variant from the Weaver with Love in order to get one of the sturdy chests, since they're basically out of reach. Other variants can only net you up to 3 of the chests. The first sturdy chest is after we clear the web-coated hallways by swinging using the beams. Right before we go up the stairs, we'll double back and find a chest on the left side of the stairs. The second sturdy chest is just after the restoration checkpoint stone. We'll want to web up and swing onto the second beam, and there we'll be able to find a chest. Now as for the last 2 sturdy chests, we'll find them after clearing the boss room. Just after the boss, we'll want to head forward, and instead of jumping down into the treasure vault area, we'll head to the right side of the bridge and drop to this ledge. That will give us the third chest. As for the fourth one, we'll just jump down onto the wooden beam and find it at the end of it. Easy as that. Moving on to the Underkeep, here is a map of the delve with all sturdy chests marked on it. Now take note, as of now, this is the only 4 variant available delve, and it's safe to assume that all 4 sturdy chests aren't found in just one variant of the delve. For this run, I only found like 2 or 3 during the Weaver's Rescue variant, while the last one was found in this locked hallway that opened up when I did the Runaway Evolution variant. The first chest will be just to the right side of the entrance of the delve. Instead of going downstairs, we'll just go onto this platform and find it hidden by the structure. The second chest we'll find after clearing the first room and head to the hallways to the right. We'll enter that room, and once we enter the next hallway, the chest will be on the left side. Now as a reminder, which variant you do for this delve will affect which door opens, and as a result what sturdy chests are available, so keep that in mind. The third chest will be available if the door from the beginning opens for the left wing instead of the right one. After clearing that room, we'll head into another hallway and find the chest. Now as for the last sturdy chest, we'll find it just behind the boss hugging the wall. Now moving on to Tak-Rethan Abyss. Here's a map of the delve before we get into the in-game footage, and as a footnote, I did this run on the Pheromone Fury variant and found all 4 chests. The first chest will be found just before we dive down into the waters. We'll take whichever path, the left or the right, to take us to the top, and we'll find it somewhat behind these blue fungal things. The second sturdy chest is just past this narrow hallway, so we'll want to take the path towards the left side where there's these tents, and what we'll want to look for are these Venus flytrap looking things or platforms. The chest will be on top of the leftmost one, so we'll just have to parkour onto it and get that done. As for the next one, we'll continue on the delve and find it behind the tents. The chest will be near the edge of the chasm. For the fourth and last sturdy chest, we'll find it near the checkpoint restoration stone. Before we continue onwards, we'll hug the wall just behind our checkpoint stone and we'll find the chest there. And that is going to be all of the sturdy chests to get the Leave No Treasure Unfound meta achievement. Now as for the last meta achievement on the list, it's going to be Nemesis, which requires us to defeat Veer on Delve 13. This isn't currently testable on beta, so we'll just have to do a video guide on defeating him once the season goes live. Also, as a reward from doing this achievement, we'll get Veer's Raptorial Spine on top of finally getting the Ivory Goliathus mount. If you found this video insightful, then leave a like and subscribe, and definitely check out True Endgame's mount collector tool in the description down below. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.